What if the key to Africa's liberation, its economic revival, food sovereignty, and moral rebirth, was being cultivated not in presidential palaces or foreign embassies, but behind prison walls? What if the most revolutionary act of leadership wasn't a speech at the UN or a handshake in Paris, but a seed planted in red soil by a man once written off by society? In the heart of Burkina Faso, where despair once echoed through concrete cells, hope is now sprouting in rows of cassava, maize, and dignity. This is not just policy, this is revolution, and its architect is none other than Captain Ibrahim Traoré. For decades, African justice systems have mirrored the West: mass incarceration, endless punishment, and zero opportunity. But Traoré, the 34-year-old leader of Burkina Faso, is dismantling that imported blueprint piece by piece. His weapon is a shovel, his battlefield is the farm. Under a bold new prison reform program, inmates are given a simple but radical deal. 1 month of agricultural work slashes 3 months off their sentence. But this isn't just about reducing jail time. It's about rewriting futures. Men and women, once discarded as criminals, are now reclaiming their humanity through the soil. Traoré looked at prisons not as places of decay, but as nurseries of potential. And instead of burying people alive in silence and shame, he planted them in the earth and gave them a reason to grow. From inmate to cultivator, from forgotten to farmer, the transformation is as practical as it is symbolic. These are not labor camps. These are empowerment zones. Prisoners are trained in irrigation, crop rotation, and agri-entrepreneurship. They're not just handed rakes, they're handed responsibility. Fields once empty now brim with millet, rice, cashews, and purpose. And the results? Nothing short of astonishing. Recidivism rates are falling. Food shortages are easing. Prison costs are dropping. And entire communities are being fed by those once seen as burdens. This isn't charity. This is justice reimagined, African style. Thank you to all our incredible subscribers and supporters of Voice of Africa. Your belief in African stories, African solutions, and African power makes this movement possible. If you value what we share, don't forget to like, comment, and support us through Super Thanks. You are the voice that keeps Africa speaking boldly. One of the first sites of this reform, the Baporo Prison Center, now resembles more of a collective farm than a correctional facility. The fields stretch wide, filled with wheat, maize, and beans, all cultivated by inmates who now rise with the sun, not to count bars, but to count rows of crops. And what's more powerful, the money they earn. That's right. Prisoners now receive wages. Many have bought motorbikes, rented homes for their families, and paid school fees for their children, all while still serving time. They return to society not as pariahs, but as providers. Dignity restored. One local elder said, "We used to fear them, now they feed us, and they grow better onions than we ever did." Let that sink in. Traoré didn't just give prisoners a hoe and hope for the best. He built a full-scale agricultural ecosystem around them. Former inmates, engineers, sociologists, and agronomists designed what's now being called the prison agro pipeline. And it works like a dream. These prison farms are producing for school lunch programs, health centers, and markets. They're supplying local restaurants and export channels. From grain mills in Koudougou to farm co-ops in Cumbri, the economy is shifting from the bottom up. Local artisans are building silos, blacksmiths are making tools, young people are seeing that redemption pays, even GDP is rising. Because in Traoré's Burkina Faso, rehabilitation doesn't drain the budget, it funds it. Western diplomats don't know what to make of it. "They're monetizing rehabilitation," one EU official muttered. Yes, they are. Because dignity should never be bankrupt. And the revolution isn't just for men. Traoré made sure that women, the most marginalized group in any prison system, were not forgotten. In Ouagadougou's women's correctional facility, a new agricultural cooperative is flourishing. Greenhouses are blooming with medicinal herbs, vertical gardens brim with spinach, aloe, and moringa. These are not prisoners, they're pioneers. Some now lead entire co-ops. Others train new arrivals. One woman, formerly facing a life sentence, now earns more than a civil servant and runs a 5-acre health farm that supplies pharmacies. And the best part? The recidivism rate among these women is nearly zero, because when you rehabilitate a woman, you heal a village. What truly sets this movement apart is the spirit behind it. Traoré is not just a reformer, he's a storyteller. He knew foreign media would twist this into a forced labor narrative. So, he fought back. His government launched a documentary series, Seeds of Change, featuring real inmate stories. TikToks, Reels, and live streams from the fields flooded social media. Within weeks, the narrative flipped. "No one forced me," said one reformed inmate. "This saved my life." State broadcasters now air weekly updates from prison farms. Former convicts speak at schools. The message is loud and clear. This is not propaganda. This is power, rooted in truth. Traoré doesn't wait for permission. He builds. He's expanding the program nationwide with military precision. New land is being cleared. Cold storage units are going up. Radio stations dedicated to agriculture are training new recruits in real time. The future is being sown, broadcast, and harvested. The most radical part of this reform isn't the prison fields or even the justice overhaul. It's the land. For too long, Africa's fertile soil has been fenced off, claimed by foreign investors or hoarded by absentee elites. Traoré is breaking that legacy. He's reclaiming unused state land and redistributing it to prisoners turned farmers through legal channels. Community reclamation, they call it. And it's flipping centuries of land injustice on its head. Men who once stole bread to live now own hectares of land. They harvest cassava. They hire cousins. They employ neighbors. This isn't just rehabilitation. It's land revolution. Some say it echoes Thomas Sankara. And they're right. But Traoré has upgraded the blueprint. Solar-powered irrigation, blockchain land deeds, and drone monitoring. This is not nostalgia. This is a Pan-African future. With 8,000 local defense fighters being trained not just in combat but in farming, Traoré is preparing Burkina Faso to fight the war against hunger and economic dependency. This isn't just about security. It's about sovereignty. It's about a nation so often dismissed finally saying, "We will feed ourselves, heal ourselves, and free ourselves." Not with bullets, but with seed. Not through aid, but through action. Not with chains, but with change. Across Africa, this model is being studied. From South Africa to Senegal, ministers and economists are watching closely. Can prison reform really solve food insecurity? Can ex-prisoners become economic pillars? Can land reform happen without violence? Burkina Faso is proving the answer is yes. And even if this bold experiment fails in some areas, it has already broken more ground, literally and figuratively, than most leaders ever dream of. Because in a world that buries people in shame, Traoré dared to plant them instead. The vision is vast. Agro-industrial training centers, solar eco-villages, ex-inmate farming unions, cooperative exports across West Africa. This isn't just a program. It's a philosophy that even those discarded by society can feed it. That redemption isn't soft, it's strategic. That Africa's true wealth isn't buried underground in minerals. It's walking, breathing, and ready to be restored. If this vision speaks to you, share this story. Let the world know Africa is not waiting. We are cultivating our own destiny. Tell us in the comments, should more African nations adopt Traoré's model? And if you haven't yet, subscribe to Voice of Africa for more bold, unapologetic stories from the continent. Because this is more than news. This is the voice of a continent rising.